Senior Monitor Keith Hall had watched empty space for so long that he forgot what fear felt like. Outpost Valon 12 hung at the edge of the Jakari Dominion border, a cold metal thorn in the dark. It was old, it was bored, it was safe. For 600 years, the same stars drifted past the same sensor lines. The same cargo convoys crossed the same lanes. The same smugglers tried the same tricks. Keith Hall's job was to notice the things that did not fit. Tonight, nothing fit. A single green dot flickered on the wide sensor wall. It was not a ship, no drive plume, no heat bloom, no ion trail. It was only a mass signature, steady and clean, moving along a line that should have been empty. Keith Hall leaned forward. He adjusted the gain. He ran the echo pattern twice. The dot held. He felt a small thrill, like a stale mind tasting fresh air. He keyed the console. Identify object. The outpost AI answered in a flat voice. Error. Unknown contact. No match in Dominion catalog. Keith Hall frowned. That line only appeared when the catalog had nothing. In 600 years, the catalog always had something. He opened a tight beam ping, low power, routine, polite. No response. He tried again, shifting frequency. He watched for any change, a flare, a wobble, a turn. The dot kept moving like it did not care. Track and lock, he ordered. Lock established, the AI replied. Error, unknown contact. Keith Hall sent a report to Border Command. It was a short note. Unknown mass, no drive profile, no response, proceeding inward. He expected laughter from the officers who sat behind safe desks in warm stations. Instead, a new alert blinked. One of the outer micro-relays, Relay Kappa 9, stopped responding. Keith Hall stared. Relays failed sometimes. Micrometeor hits, solar noise, corrosion. But Kappa 9 was only 5 minutes away on a light hop, and it had passed diagnostics 12 hours ago. He sent a ping. No reply. He sent a second ping through a backup route. No reply. Keith Hall's throat tightened. He felt it as a pressure behind his jaw plates. He opened the relay camera feed. The screen loaded, then froze. Static. Not the normal snow of signal loss. This was flat, smooth, like someone had painted the image over with gray. Keith Hall switched to another camera. Different angle, different lens. Gray. The outpost AI spoke again. Error. Unknown interference. Keith Hall did not like that word, unknown. It meant the rules were not holding. He called the duty officer. Relay Kappa 9 is dead. I want a patrol drone sent now. The duty officer, a thick-shelled Jakari named Vern, clicked in annoyance. For a relay? For an unknown contact and a relay that died at the same time. Vern hesitated. Keith Hall heard it in the silence. Send it, Keith Hall repeated. Now. A drone launched. A small thing, just eyes and sensors and a weak drive. It would reach the relay in 9 minutes. Keith Hall watched its telemetry crawl forward. At minute 7, the drone's forward camera showed Kappa 9. The relay was intact. No holes, no burn marks, no broken panels. It was just dark. No lights, no beacon, no emergency flare. Keith Hall sent a command. Dock and read physical port. The drone moved closer. The feed stayed clear. Then, at 400 meters, the drone's audio channel spiked. A sound poured into the room. It was not a transmission. It was not a coded signal. It was wind. A long, thin whistle, like air moving across dead rock. The sound was so real that Keith Hall's skin ridges lifted. Outpost Valon 12 had no wind. Space had no wind. The wind kept blowing.
The drone shuddered, its stabilizers kicked, the camera flickered. Keith Hall saw the relay's surface for one more second. There were marks on it, not burns, not impact scars. Lines, clean cuts, like something had opened the metal as easily as soft fruit. Then the drone feed went gray, the same smooth gray as the relay cameras. Telemetry went silent. Keith Hall's fingers hovered over the console. His mind ran through every threat list he knew. Pirates, rebels, rogue mining rigs, Dominion rivals. None of them used wind. He pulled up the border grid. He checked the other outposts. Valon 11, a sister station down lane, was still green. Valon 10 was green. Then Valon 11 blinked. One moment it was there. The next it was gone. No explosion, no debris cloud, no heat spike, just absence. The sensor wall showed empty space where a station had been. Keith Hall's mouth dried. He hit emergency broadcast. Border Command, this is Senior Monitor Keith Hall at Valon 12. We have a missing station. Repeat, missing. No detonation signature. Unknown interference. Unknown contact present. Border Command replied with a tired voice. Monitor, you are reporting a station malfunction as a hostile event. It is not a malfunction. A station does not vanish. A station leaves debris, heat, anything. There was a pause. Then Border Command said, run a full diagnostic. Keith Hall felt anger flash, hot and sharp. It was a rare thing for him. He kept his voice controlled. Diagnostic is clean. Our sensors are clean. The space is clean. The station is not. Border Command ended the call. Keith Hall stared at the wall of stars and green markers. He watched them like prey watches tall grass. Over the next 6 days, it happened again and again. Outpost after outpost along the borderline went dark. 31 outposts. Every one vanished or fell silent, with no fight and no warning. The Dominion Council met in the Capitol Ring far away. Keith Hall watched the council feed with bitter focus. High Arbiter Thaleen sat in the center, draped in authority. His eyes were calm, his voice was smooth. This is sensor degradation. Border equipment is ancient. Outposts fail. Panic is wasteful. Keith Hall clenched his claws. He wanted to shout through the screen. The other counselors shifted, uneasy. One asked, 31 outposts in a week, no distress, no debris. Does that fit degradation? Thaleen lifted a hand. It fits fear. The mind makes monsters in the dark. Keith Hall felt something colder than anger. The word monsters. Thaleen said it like a joke. Keith Hall knew the border. He knew silence. He knew patterns. This was hunting. The next night, Keith Hall came back to the sensor pit early. He could not rest. The outpost was quiet, too quiet. Even the cooling fans seemed to whisper. He sat at his console. He drank bitter nutrient broth. He watched the grid. At 0311 station time, every frequency band on every channel flashed at once. The outpost AI spoke with an edge that sounded almost like stress. Galaxy-wide broadcast detected. Keith Hall froze. Source. Source unknown. Error. Unknown origin. Then the sound filled the room. Wind again. Stronger now. Deeper. A hollow moan that rose and fell like a living breath. It crawled under Keith Hall's skin. It made his bones feel small. And under the wind, faint but clear, there was another layer. A human voice. Old, distorted, like a recording pulled from dust. A single sentence repeated in a loop. We are coming back. Keith Hall's heart hammered. Humans were extinct. That was Dominion law, Dominion history, Dominion pride. Species 4217 was marked eliminated 3,000 years ago. Every child learned it as proof of Dominion strength. Keith Hall forced his claws to move. He opened the archive channel. He searched the forbidden files that only monitors could access. He found a sealed record. Earth, Category 12 Deathworld. He had heard whispers of it, a world of crushing gravity and violent weather, a world that bred bodies like weapons. He opened the audio attachment. The same wind. A field note from 3,000 years ago, recorded on the dead surface of Earth after the Dominion strike teams confirmed the end. The wind had no life in it, a dead world breathing through empty stone.
Part 1. The Silent Gap. The 7-minute hook. Senior Monitor Keith Hall had watched empty space for so long that he forgot what fear felt like. Outpost Veilon 12 hung at the edge of the Jakari Dominion border, a cold...
Keith Hall did not sleep after the broadcast. He kept hearing the wind. He kept hearing the sentence, "We are coming back." He reported again. This time he sent the audio clip, the archive match, and the white dot track. He marked it as highest threat. Border Command did not answer. Instead, a new message arrived from the Dominion capital. It was sealed under Council authority. It ordered silence. It ordered all monitors to stop using the word human. Keith Hall read it 3 times, then looked at the empty stars beyond the station. Orders did not change reality. Reality was a white dot closing in. He needed context. He needed history. So he did something he should not do. He opened the sealed record fully. The file was called The Glassing of Earth. The first images were of a blue world with swirling storms. The oceans glittered. The land was green. Keith Hall felt a strange tightness. It looked alive in a way most worlds did not. The Dominion voiceover was cold. Species 4217 is expanding beyond containment. Population growth exceeds predictive control. Industrial output exceeds acceptable ratio. Cultural spread exceeds quarantine. The next segment showed the Dominion Council of that era. They looked proud. They voted. Elimination. Keith Hall's claws dug into his console. The footage jumped to a hidden vault, not Dominion, human. A woman stood alone in a chamber of steel and stone. Her name tag read Captain Yara Singh. She wore a uniform with simple markings, no ornate ritual chains, no ritual paint. Her eyes did not beg, they watched. A screen behind her showed Earth from orbit. Above Earth, Dominion weapons platforms aligned like a ring of knives. A human technician spoke, shaking. "Captain, they have authorization. Full strike." Yara Singh answered in a flat voice. "Then record everything, every second, no gaps." The strike began. Kinetic rods fell first, long metal spears from orbit, driven by gravity and hate. They hit cities, they hit oceans, they hit forests. No nuclear flash, no bright fireball, just impact so hard it turned land into vapor and water into screaming steam. Then the biodissolvers came, clouds released from high altitude, designed to eat flesh, bone, and organ tissue, designed to leave no remains. On the human feed, alarms screamed. The camera shook as Earth's surface turned into storms of dust and chemical fog. 7 billion lives ended in 6 hours. Keith Hall's stomach twisted. Dominion propaganda taught that humans were dangerous. It never showed this. Yara Singh stood still. Her face did not change, only her hands moved. She opened a small case. Inside was a simple jar. She walked to a storage shelf filled with dozens of jars and data slates. Each one had a label. samples, seeds, language keys, culture archives, and at the bottom, empty jars waiting. A technician whispered, "Why keep dirt, Captain? Why this?" Yara did not look away from the screen. "Because dirt is home, because we will not forget what they took." She opened the vault hatch for a moment, a mechanical arm extended outward, into the air that cycled through filters. Ash drifted like gray snow. Yara held the jar under the ashfall and caught a handful of ordinary brown dirt mixed with the last dust of cities. She sealed it. She wrote on the label with her own hand, "Earth, last day." Then she recorded a message for the seed fleet. Her voice was calm. Her words were short. "This is Captain Yara Singh. The Dominion believes Earth is gone. They believe humans are gone. They are wrong. 36 seed ships will carry the ember of our species. We will sleep. We will rebuild. We will return." A young officer behind her began to cry. Yara turned at last. Keithal expected comfort. Instead, Yara placed a hand on the officer's shoulder with heavy certainty. "This is a promise," she said, "a long one. If you wake before me, you carry it. If I wake before you, I carry it. If none of us wake, then the records carry it." She lifted the jar of dirt. "We are coming back." Keithal's chest felt tight. Pack bonding. He had heard that term in xenobiology lectures. Humans bonded to tools, to animals, to places, to ideas. They bonded to dirt. They bonded to a dead world. The file continued. The seed ships launched in secret, slipping through cold routes beyond the Dominion maps. Each ship carried cryopods, each carried gene libraries, each carried the same message, a promise measured in millennia. Keithal closed the file, hands trembling. Now he understood the wind broadcast. It was a signal, not for the Dominion alone, for the humans too. A wake-up call, a horn before the hunt. He returned to the live sensor grid. The white dot was closer, still no drive signature. It moved like it was falling, yet its vector stayed perfect. The outpost AI spoke. "Unknown contact is within weapon range." Keithal swallowed. Valon 12 had guns, standard border cannons, enough to shred pirates. If this was human, if this was the extinct monster species, then cannons meant nothing. He watched the dot. Then the outpost lights flickered, not from power loss, from a shadow passing over the solar collectors. Keithal looked up through the armored viewport. Space was no longer empty. A ship hung outside. It was small compared to Dominion cruisers, but it felt heavier, like a stone in water. No bright panels, no proud markings, only matte black plating, shaped with sharp angles and smooth curves, like something built to be ignored. A single symbol glowed faintly on its side, a simple circle with a line through it. No translation. The comm channel opened itself. Wind filled the room. Then a voice, young and clear. "Outpost Valon 12, do not move, do not signal, do not lie." Keithal could not breathe. The voice continued. "We kept our promise."
The human ship did not fire. It did not demand surrender in the Dominion way, with threats and loud pride. It just waited. That was worse. Waiting meant control. Keithal forced his voice steady. "This is Senior Monitor Keithal. Identify yourself." The comm answered with a faint click, like someone choosing to speak. "Fleet Recon Unit Ember 1, Terran Concord." Terran, a forbidden word from old archives, a name humans used for themselves. Keithal's mind raced. "Earth was destroyed." "Yes," the human replied. No sadness, no anger, only fact.
We remember. That is why we are here. Keithal's claws hovered over the alert switch. He wanted to trigger a system-wide alarm. He wanted to warn every station. But 31 outposts were already gone. He realized with slow dread that he was not the first contact. He was the first survivor. The human spoke again. "You will listen. You will record. You will deliver this to your council." A screen on Keithal's console lit up without permission. The AI tried to block it and failed. The AI displayed a single line: "Error. Control override." A video feed began. It showed a world Keithal did not recognize. Gray skies, heavy clouds, jagged mountains, thin, bitter oceans. A label appeared in human script, then auto-translated. Kepler 9917b, New Dawn. Then the images moved through time like a fast dream. Humans landed in broken ships. They crawled out, thin and injured. They looked small against the storms. Then they began to build. They cut stone, they hammered metal, they dug into the ground, they made shelters under rock because the wind ripped skin. They buried their dead, they kept going. A narrator voice, human, spoke over it. "We did not find peace, we found a crucible, we made it a forge." Keithal watched humans train in low-light halls. Their bodies changed over generations. Their frames thickened. Their posture grew heavier. Data overlays appeared. Bone density increased by 30%. Muscle efficiency increased. Cardio endurance increased. Lifespan increased. 200 years, then 300 years. Keithal felt sick. The Dominion had tried to erase them. Instead, it had selected them. It had forced them into a place that punished weakness until only strength remained. The video showed a human child falling on hard ground and getting up without crying. It showed adults running across plains for hours, chasing prey until the prey collapsed. Persistence hunting, never stopping. A human scientist spoke to the camera. "We used suffering as a tool," the scientist said, "not because we loved it, because we learned that mercy is a luxury the weak cannot afford." Keithal heard the line and felt it cut deeper than any weapon. The footage shifted. A shipyard inside a hollowed moon. Thousands of human workers moved like a swarm, calm and focused. Warships formed in silence, black hulls sliding into place. 10,000 ships. A human officer walked along a catwalk and placed a hand on the metal hull like it was alive. Pack bonding again. They bonded to ships. They bonded to the idea of return. Then the biggest reveal came. A drive test. A human vessel launched. It did not accelerate like Dominion ships. It vanished, then reappeared far away, like a blink. Text on the screen read, "Slipstream Drive, crossing the galaxy in 3 days." Keithal's eyes widened. The Dominion took 2 years to cross the same span with its best gates and routes. This was not just a returning species. This was an apex predator that had learned new movement. The human narrator continued. "We watched your borders. We watched your politics. We watched your comfort. While you stagnated, we built." The feed ended on a single phrase, "Operation Reckoning." The calm returned to the live link. The human voice was closer now, like it was speaking from inside Keithal's own skull. "You see what you made. You see the debt you created." Keithal tried to speak. "Why show me this? Why not simply destroy us?" There was a pause. Then the human answered. because we are not here for random death. We are here for an outcome. What outcome? Keithall whispered. Promise fulfilled, dominion ended, doctrine changed, no species targeted for elimination again. Keithall's throat tightened. That is impossible. The human voice turned colder. It was impossible for us to survive Earth, yet we did. You will learn a simple truth. Humans do not stop. The screen flickered. New sensor alerts screamed. Dozens of white dots appeared around Valon 12, too fast to track. Micro-jumps. They were already here. Keithall realized his outpost had been surrounded while he watched the history of his own empire's crime. The human spoke one last line. Tell your arbiter, the wind is coming.
The Dominion tried to hide the fear. It failed. When every screen in the Capitol ring lit up at once, there was no hiding. Council chambers, military bridges, market kiosks, private home panels. All of them showed the same image. A human woman in a dark uniform stood in front of a moving star field. Behind her, faint and constant, was the sound of Earth's dead wind. Her eyes were steady. Her hair was cropped short. Her posture was still. She looked like a blade that did not need to move to cut. A caption appeared. Fleet Admiral Kyle Vasquez, Terran Concord. High Arbiter Thalen demanded the feed be cut. Engineers tried. They failed. Kyle Vasquez spoke in simple Dominion trade language, with an accent that sounded like old recordings. Jakari Dominion, she said. You believed you succeeded. She paused and let the wind fill the silence. We forgot us. In the council chamber, Thalen rose. His voice shook with anger. Humans are dead. Kyle did not react. We heard your lie for 3,000 years, she said. We listened to you call Earth a resolved matter. We listened to you call our extinction proof of your strength. She leaned forward slightly. You did not erase us. You forged us. Keithall watched the feed from his outpost, far from the capital, and felt the entire empire tilt. Kyle's voice remained calm. Earth was a Category 12 death world, she said. We were born in gravity that crushed weaker bodies. We evolved dense bones, strong muscles. We evolved endurance because our world demanded it. A data overlay appeared beside her, like a threat delivered as a medical report. Human bone density, 30% higher than standard galactic baseline. Muscle efficiency, extreme. Adrenal response, combat drug level. Persistence hunting trait, confirmed. Kyle continued. You feared our growth, so you tried to kill us fast. You failed. We grew slower, harder, smarter. Thalen spat. This is terrorism. Kyle's gaze turned sharp. No, this is a message, a ghost message delivered by the dead you created. She raised her hand. In her palm was a small jar, brown dirt inside. Keithall's chest tightened. He recognized it from the archive. Earth, last day. Kyle held it as if it was a sacred weapon. This dirt crossed 3,000 years, she said, because humans bond. We bond to family. We bond to places. We bond to promises. She lowered the jar. You attacked our home. You made our promise simple. A new image appeared, a wide shot of black human warships in deep space. Thousands.
Their hulls absorbed light like void. Kyle's voice dropped. You have one chance to end this without total collapse. Dissolve your Dominion Council. Release every species under your rule. Sign the Sovereign Species Doctrine. Thalen laughed, thin and forced. You have no legal standing. Kyle nodded once. Legal standing is what comfortable empires hide behind. We are not comfortable. She lifted her gaze, and for the first time her voice carried emotion. Not rage, not grief. It was something colder. Certainty. You will meet us at Valen's gate, she said. You will bring your fleet. You will witness what 3,000 years of fear produces. The wind rose louder. Then Kyle delivered the final line. We can end you. We choose to offer you a choice first. The feed cut. Not because the Dominion stopped it, because the humans were done speaking. In the capital ring, alarms began. Fleets moved. Ships launched. Thalen ordered General Varash to gather 800 warships and crush the threat. Keithal sat at his console and watched the border grid. He saw the human dots moving, not rushing, not panicking, moving like hunters pacing a long chase. Humans do not stop. And now they were walking toward Valen's gate.
General Varash believed in numbers. 800 Dominion warships filled Valen's gate, a choke point between systems. Shields flared, cannons charged, drone swarms drifted like glittering dust. Varash stood on his command bridge, surrounded by officers who pretended not to fear. He spoke loudly so they would hear strength. Humans are myths, he said. Today we erase a ghost. Then the human fleet arrived. Only 60 ships. They did not form a wide line like Dominion doctrine. They formed a tight cluster, like a pack. Varash sneered. That is all? His weapons officer replied, voice tight. They are not powering shields. Varash blinked. Then they are fools. The battle started with silence. No warning volleys, no posturing. The human ships vanished. Not retreated, vanished. Dominion sensors screamed. Targets reappeared inside the formation. Inside. Human ships had jumped past the outer screen like it did not exist. Then the first gravity pulse hit. It was invisible at first. Then Dominion shields folded inward like soft metal crushed by a fist. A cruiser collapsed, not exploded, collapsed, its own structure forced into itself. Crew lost without flame, no heroic flashes, just sudden end. Varash's throat tightened. Return fire, all batteries. Dominion cannons fired. Human ships moved again. Micro jumps, short blinks. They appeared behind engines, under belly armor, beside command nodes. They fired gravity pulses with calm rhythm. Each pulse crushed. Dominion captains tried to adapt. They spread out. They tightened. They launched drones. Humans did not stop. They hunted formation gaps like predators smelling weakness. A Dominion frigate tried to run. A human ship followed at the same speed, without visible strain, keeping distance, never losing lock. Persistence hunting in space. Chase until collapse. Varash watched casualty numbers climb. 100 ships lost. 200. 300. His officers shouted. His bridge shook. He felt a strange horror.
The humans were not fighting like machines. They were fighting like living things that had decided. A human comm ping opened, forced into Varash's channel. Kyle Vasquez appeared again, calm, as if she was speaking during a routine briefing. 11 minutes, she said. Varash snarled. What? Kyle's eyes did not blink. That is how long this ends, she said. You brought 800. We brought 60. You thought you were safe. A Dominion officer screamed. They are inside the carrier ring. Varash turned and saw it. Human ships blinking through defenses, firing into weak points with perfect timing. Varash shouted, Ram them! Close distance! A Dominion destroyer surged forward. A human ship did not flee. It held position. At the last second, it micro-jumped. It appeared above the destroyer, then fired a pulse straight down. The destroyer folded. Varash's hands trembled. He realized the humans were choosing to keep the battle short, not because they were weak, because they were controlling the tempo like a leash. At exactly 11 minutes, the shooting stopped. Varash stared at the sensor grid. Out of 800 Dominion warships, only 90 remained functional. The rest were crushed, drifting, or silent. Kyle's voice came through again. Stop, she said. Listen. A new signature appeared far behind the human fleet. A structure, immense, like a spine of light built in space. The Prometheus Array. Varash did not understand it until the star dimmed. For 4 seconds, the system's sun went darker. Not an eclipse, a forced dimming. The temperature sensors dipped. The light spectrum shifted. Every Dominion officer felt it in their bones. Kyle Vasquez spoke quietly. We can extinguish your sun, she said. We choose not to. Varash's mouth went dry. This was not a battle. It was a demonstration. A hand on the throat, then release. Kyle's last words came like a verdict. Sign the doctrine, dissolve the Dominion, or next time we do not dim. Varash looked at the drifting wrecks of his fleet. He opened a channel to the capital. High Arbiter Terran did not answer. The capital ring was silent. Then the wind broadcast returned, louder than ever, washing over every frequency, and beneath it, the same sentence. We are coming back.
The Dominion did not die in fire. It died in paperwork and fear. High Arbiter Terran vanished from public view within a day of Valen's gate. Rumors spread. Some said he fled. Some said his own guards ended him to save themselves. General Varash signed the ceasefire with shaking claws. The Terran Concord demanded the sovereign species doctrine. One rule carved into law across the galaxy. No species shall ever be targeted for elimination again. Planets under Dominion control gained independence. Slave routes broke. Prison moons opened. Archives unsealed. The galaxy watched humans do what no empire had done. They ended a dominion and replaced it with a doctrine. But humans did not celebrate. They prepared. Kyle Vasquez gathered her fleet and set a course for the Sol system, Earth. Keithall, now reassigned under the new Border Council, received an invitation that felt like a summons. Observer status, witness of reclamation. His ship followed at a distance behind the Terran fleet. 3 days, that was all it took. Slipstream. Keithall thought of the Dominion's 2-year crossings and felt the shame deepen.
When they arrived, he saw Earth, or what was left. A black sphere under thin cloud. Glass plains, melted continents, dead oceans that reflected no life. The Terran fleet did not speak for a long time. Then Kyle's voice came over the open channel. "Home," she said. A human officer beside her held the jar of dirt. Earth, last day. Keithall watched human crews descend in landing craft, not soldiers with flags, engineers, botanists, builders. They walked on black glass and did not flinch. They placed sensors, they drilled into dead soil, they mapped toxicity and mineral content. They worked like a pack. No shouting, no panic, just shared purpose. Keithall asked a human liaison, a man named Reyes, "Why rebuild a dead world? You have New Dawn, you have your fleet, you have power." Reyes looked at the glass plane and answered simply, "Because we promised." Pack bonding again. Bonding to a place that could not love them back. Bonding to a memory. Bonding to dirt. The reclamation began. It took centuries. Humans were patient in a way that frightened Keithall more than their weapons. They seeded algae into poisoned seas. They cracked glass into soil. They carried water from distant ice rings. They built climate towers to soften storms. They never stopped. Persistence hunting turned into persistence healing. 200 years later, a young human woman stood on Earth under a gray sky that was finally changing. Her name was Sarah Vasquez. Keithall was old now, but still alive, still observing, still unable to look away from human history. Sarah held the jar, the same dirt protected for 3,000 years. She walked into a field where the first green grass reached her ankles. Green, real, alive. She knelt, she opened the jar, she poured the brown dirt into the new soil. No speech, no ceremony, just the act. The wind moved across the field. This time it was not dead wind. It carried life. Sarah stood and looked toward the horizon where trees were beginning to grow. In a quiet data vault aboard a Terran station, an AI called Ember updated an old Dominion record. Species 4217. Status changed from eliminated to returned. Then Ember added one final word, a word Keithall felt like a weight in his chest. Home. Keithall stared at Earth's new green line from orbit and understood the last lesson. Humans did not return for revenge alone. They returned to prove a promise could survive longer than an empire. And if the galaxy ever forgot again, the wind would remind them.